What's up, guys? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for watching. If this is your first time here, remember to like, comment, subscribe and share. My name is Bianca. So last week I made a video answering the question why fear is not good for you and for me, and I promised that I'll do a follow-up video talking about some of the tips, some of the ways that have helped me to overcome and that are still helping me to overcome some of the fears that I have. So the first tip that I have for you guys is always keep an open line of communication with God. In other words, always abide in the presence of God. Now, God did not give us the spirit of fear. If you read in 2 Timothy chapter 1 verse 7, it says, but God did not give us the spirit of fear, but of love, of power, and of a sound mind. These are the fruits. These the fruits that we get from God. Fear is not from the Lord. It is not from the Lord. You find that where fear thrives, faith cannot thrive. The two cannot coexist in the same body, in the same mind, in the same spirit. If you are a person of faith, and then it means you do not walk in fear, you walk in faith. So if you see yourself being terrified and anxious and always fearful of things, take note of it. Something is wrong with your faith. It means your faith is dwindling. It means your faith is not growing. It means you're not growing in faith. You are growing in fear, because fear and faith cannot dominate the same mind. They cannot dominate the same spirit. So as human beings, we are afraid of things that we do not understand. That's why we are afraid of death. That's why we are afraid when demons start doing their things, then we do not understand. Those who do not understand the state of the dead, we start saying, oh, they are ghosts or something like that. We as human beings, we tend to be afraid of things that we do not understand. But once we grasp the fact that there is a higher power called the Lord, who is our Father, He understands everything. What we cannot comprehend, He understands for us. The battles that we cannot fight, He fights them for us. Once we understand that point, then we disempower fear. We strengthen our faith, and the fear that is in us dwindles. The second tip that I have for us as far as overcoming our fears is concerned is simple. It sounds cliche. Love yourself. Love yourself. A lot of us think that we love ourselves. A lot of us think, well, who doesn't love themselves? But many of us, if you analyze it, you find that we are not committed to loving ourselves. We are not faithful to loving ourselves. We love ourselves when it is convenient. Once fear comes, we're like, no, but I can't do this. But these people are right about me. And you start listening to people who criticize you, who look down upon you. You start looking at situations that you think you cannot overcome. And that is doing a disservice to yourself. That is not loving yourself. Loving yourself faithfully means putting your dreams first, putting everything first before fear, not allowing fear to rule your life. Like I mentioned in the last video, you will find that fear actually influences some of the decisions that we make. It keeps us in a box, and it makes us not believe in our dreams, not chase after things that we're supposed to chase after. But once you love yourself, you realize that there is more significance to you, and that overcomes your fear. You cannot allow fear to rule your life because you love yourself. You love who God made you to be. You believe in your dreams. You want to achieve your dreams. You want to add value to yourself because you love yourself. So just commit to loving yourself faithfully. Be committed to loving yourself faithfully. Make it a commitment. Have a relationship with yourself, with your mind, with your heart, with your spirit, with your soul. Nourish it and love yourself. Be faithful in loving yourself. Be kind to yourself. Realize that you need to put yourself first. You need to put your health first. You need to put your well-being first ahead of your fears. That way, whatever it is that comes, be it criticism that is not constructive, people always putting you down, people always telling you can't do this, you are not talented enough, you're not good enough. If you love yourself, the love that you have is going to overpower that fear that is instilled in you as a result of what the world regards you to be. The third tip that I have that is sure to help us to overcome our fears, that has been helpful to me, is to always be positive. In life, you have a choice. It's either you are positive or you're negative. You choose to be optimistic or pessimistic. You remember the glass is half full or half empty approach. It's all your choice. You have a choice. You have a choice to determine the attitude that you are going to take towards you, as far as your career is concerned, as far as your dreams are concerned, as far as your relationships are concerned, your family is concerned, whatever it is, any aspect of your life, you have a choice as far as what attitude, what state of your mind you are going to regard those things is. You can choose to be negative or you can choose to be positive. If you are faced with a challenge, you can choose to be afraid and to back off, or you can choose to be positive and try your best. And despite the results of your efforts, you know that you tried yourself. That is being positive. Being positive and being overconfident are two different things. Being positive is not allowing negative thoughts, bad thoughts, looking down upon yourself to come and affect how you are going to handle things. You'll find that if you're a person who is always afraid, who's always terrified, who's always anxious, it comes from a sort of background of you being a negative person and having a negative mindset. This might have been influenced maybe by how you were raised, how you grew up, the people that you surrounded yourself with. So many factors might influence your attitude, whether you are a positive person or whether you're a negative person. But this is your life. This is you now. You need to work through those issues. Be it, if you can't do it yourself, talk to someone, talk to a mentor, talk to your parent, your pastor, a therapist, whatever that you need to do to make sure that you have a positive attitude to life. Be positive. If you're starting a new project, if you're chasing a dream, if you're writing a book, if it's a new job, if it's friends, if it's to do with a relationship, if it's to do with your family, be positive. Always have a positive state of mind. That way you defeat your fears, because fear and negativity are almost the same thing. Fear will make you feel like, wow, you can't do this. There's a certain danger to doing this. There's a certain harm that is going to come, and so many people give up on so many beautiful things just because they were afraid, just because of their fears. But if you are positive, you realize that, wow, you can do what you want to do. If you fail, you fail. If you achieve it, you achieve it. But it's better. Trying is better than not trying. It's always better to try and make a mistake than to fold your hands and not do anything. So let's take note of that. Let's always be positive. That brings us to our fourth point of the day, as far as my tips to overcoming fears are concerned. Mute toxicity. Mute all the negativeness and toxicness that is within and without. You find that so many of us, like I mentioned before, because of how we were raised, we do not choose how we are raised. Sometimes you're raised in a home maybe where people, your parents or your siblings or whatever, were always negative people, or were always bent on trying to make you anxious and terrified and afraid of new things or whatever it is that you're afraid of. You need to mute that toxicness that has been instilled in you. Mute it. Like, make deliberate actions. When you find a voice in your head telling you that you should be terrified of this, you should be afraid of this, you cannot overcome this, choose to mute it. Choose to silence it. How do you do that? Always have a counter positive thought to counter that negative thought. So if you find yourself saying, maybe it's you want to write a book, and then these thoughts start coming to your head and saying, wow, look at your age, you are this old, you have always wanted to write a book, you have never wrote it, do you think you're going to do it? This is a negativity that is trying to make you afraid. Counter that and tell yourself that you can. If you need to write sticky notes and stick them to your headboard or whatever, do it. Reinforce positivity. As you do that, the negativity, this toxicness that has been instilled in you, is going to be silenced. Remember, what you put in is what you take out. So put in a positivity all the way. Continue to tell yourself good things, listen to good things, and you'll find that you'll be able to mute all the toxicness that has been instilled in you. And then when it comes to the toxicness that has been instilled in us from without, from our friends, from our families, let's be careful of the things that we listen to, where we hang around. We have to have the power to no matter what people say, we must be able to tell them that no, what you're saying about me is not true. Stop putting me down. Remember, there's a difference between constructive criticism and criticism that is there just to put you down, just to make you give up. So mute that toxicness from without and from within. You do not need it. Mute it. Silence it. Silence it with positivity. Silence it with happy thoughts. Always listen to the right things. Always watch the right things. And this brings us to our fourth, or is it fifth point? I'm not sure. Which is guard the avenues of your soul. Now, which are the avenues do we have to our souls? What we watch, what we listen to, what we read, whatever we put inside us is what we're going to produce, and it's what we're going to bring out. So make sure that what you are reading is actually something that is not feeding your fears. What you are watching, make sure it's not feeding your fears. Always watch, read, and listen to things that feed your faith, that nourish your faith, that feed your soul, that, you know, encourage you, that give you hope to go on, that do not make you give up. I tried this. There was a time when I saw myself being all negative, you know, and pessimistic because of some things that were going on in my life. So everything to me, whatever that I would see would just make me feel so down and be like, well, life is so unfair. You know, I was that sort of person. But then I decided, no, what's really happening to me? So I decided that I was going to stop watching movies, especially those movies that are violent, music, listening to songs that are tell me that I'm lonely, that I'm scared, that I'm not worth it. I stopped reading things that would feed into my fears, watching horror movies and all that. I stopped. I quit it, and I said, well, let's see how it works. And it worked. Once I stopped that, I found that there was a vacuum that needed to be filled. So I had to look for positive things to fill inside it. And I started reading wellness books, watching wellness videos, and doing all those positive things. And I make deliberate effort to make sure that whatever movies that I'm going to watch, whatever books that I'm going to read are actually material that feed my faith, that nourish my soul, that do not make me feel afraid, that do not make me anxious and make me terrified. And I found that it actually worked, and I'm in a better space now compared to where I was when I used to just take in everything, watch everything, see everything, listen to all sorts of music without filtering. There are so many voices in the world. If you do not make it your duty to filter some of these voices, you find yourself lost. You find yourself taking in everything, all the negativity and mixed in positivity. So you need to filter what you put in, because what you put in is going to be what you put out. It's going to influence your dreams, how you work, and all that. So let's make sure that we filter all the things that we watch, that we read, that we listen to. Let's guard the avenues of our souls. Now, as I conclude, I'd just like to say, remember, it starts with you. It starts from within. We cannot control some of the things that happen in the world, but you have the power to control who you hang around with. You choose your own friends. You can choose not to be in company that always make you anxious and afraid of things, and always push you down, and always make you feel like you cannot achieve anything, and always makes you feel like you have to be afraid. You have the power. You can choose what to read. You can choose what to watch. You can choose what to listen to. You choose whether to follow your dreams or whether to be afraid and stay in the box of your comfort zone. So it starts with you. Take that step. Take that leap of faith. Take that step and say, I'm not going to be negative. I'm not going to be pessimistic. I'm not going to allow fear to rule over my life. Defeat fear. Do not be afraid of loneliness. Do not stay in relationships that are bad for you. Do not stay in your comfort zone. Chase your dreams. Whatever dream that you have, doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter what the world says. It doesn't matter the fears. And remember, the fear that we have about things that we do not understand, we need to go to God and we need to say, Lord, we are afraid, but you are our Father. You are the higher power. You know everything. You see everything. You are everywhere. You made everything. So take our fears and give us the faith that we need. And remember to nourish your soul and nourish your faith. That way you will be strong enough to overcome your fears. Remember, it's an everyday job. You cannot say I have overcome all of my fears. As you grow and as you develop, you start to find more fears creeping in. It goes with the territory. The higher you go, the more fears that you are going to experience. So always know that it is an everyday job. Overcoming your fears is an everyday job. It does not end. So remember to like, comment, subscribe, and share if you found this video helpful. Peace.